Long before San Antonio became one of America's fastest growing cities, before skyscrapers lined its skyline, before millions visited the Alamo and Riverwalk each year, the Catholic faith had already taken root along the banks of the San Antonio River. The Spanish missionaries arrived here more than 3 centuries ago, establishing missions that became centers of worship, education, and community. From those humble beginnings, generations of priests, religious, and faithful Catholics built a church that would shape the history of Texas. By the early 20th century, the church had outgrown its original boundaries, and on August 3, 1926, Pope Pius XI elevated the Diocese of San Antonio to the Archdiocese of San Antonio, recognizing both its remarkable growth and its importance to the Catholic Church in Texas. The decision made San Antonio the metropolitan see for much of Texas, placing it at the center of a rapidly expanding church whose influence stretched across South Texas and beyond. Archbishop Arthur Jerome Drosserts, who had served as bishop since 1918, became the first Archbishop of San Antonio. The elevation was more than a change in title. It reflected decades of growth fueled by immigration, expanding parishes, Catholic schools, and the enduring faith of families who called South Texas home. At the time, the Archdiocese served fewer than 200,000 Catholics, but over the next century, that number would quickly grow to over 1 million Catholics. Archbishop Drosserts inherited a church with deep historical roots, but enormous challenges. The Mexican Revolution and the Cristero War had forced thousands of Catholics, including priests, seminarians, and religious sisters, to flee religious persecution across the border.
At one point during the Mexican Revolution, half of the bishops of Mexico lived in San Antonio. And it was a very difficult time for the church, especially during the Cristero Revolt, where there was a backlash against the revolution by people who were faithful Catholics and who felt that they had to fight back because the churches were being closed and the church was being persecuted.
Drosserts also understood the importance of preserving the region's sacred history. He became a strong advocate for protecting the historic San Antonio missions, ensuring that these centuries-old churches remain not only treasured landmarks, but living places of worship. In 1941, Archbishop Robert Emmet Lucy became the second Archbishop of San Antonio, and his tenure would last 28 years, making him one of the most influential church leaders in Texas history. Archbishop Lucy believed the gospel extended beyond the walls of the church. He became one of the nation's strongest voices for Catholic social teaching, speaking boldly about the dignity of workers, racial justice, and the responsibility of Catholics to care for the poor. Long before the civil rights movement reached its height, Archbishop Lucy integrated Catholic schools in the Archdiocese of San Antonio years before the Supreme Court's landmark Brown v. Board of Education decision.
And so he was a strong advocate, especially because he could see his large Hispanic population, which were Catholic. Many of them were working under very difficult conditions with little pay and no benefits, and so he was very strong about that.
Archbishop Lucy's years were marked by extraordinary growth. Following World War II, San Antonio experienced a population boom. Entire neighborhoods sprang up almost overnight. To meet the needs of a growing Catholic community, the Archdiocese launched one of the largest building programs in its history.
So there was a lot of growth, and most of them coming from Mexico pretty much came as Catholics. And of course the Archdiocese had to respond to that. Archbishop Drosserts, my understanding, has had the rule that nobody would be ordained for the Archdiocese of San Antonio unless they could speak Spanish. And so the Archdiocese responded to this huge amount of immigration, especially from Mexico and Latin America, but really from all over the world. And that kind of contributed to the growth of the Catholic Church. And from there on, we just continued to grow at a pretty fast rate.
Archbishop Lucy also recognized the importance of communication. Several publications had been in existence dating back to the late 1800s, but in 1942, the Archdiocese established its official newspaper, the Alamo Messenger, providing Catholics throughout South Texas with news and a deeper connection to the life of the local church. The Alamo Messenger, in turn, was named Today's Catholic in 1972. In 1952, another milestone was reached with the purchase of a facility on West Woodlawn from what was then the Trinity University campus and would later become Assumption Seminary. The seminary became the center of priestly formation for South Texas and helped prepare generations of men for service to the church. The 1960s brought enormous change to the Catholic Church around the world. The Second Vatican Council called the church to renew its mission.
There was a new freedom. We had Mass in English for the first time. The priests turned around and faced the people. There was all kinds of changes. Well, in steps Archbishop Lucy, who had been a big champion of Vatican II, except for his authority as the Archbishop and his control of the priests. And he didn't want to open up the relationship with the priests. And he was quite strict with the priests many times, sometimes banishing them to the farthest end of the diocese if they did something that he didn't like. And the priests were saying, wait a minute, the council has said we're opening up, there's more freedom, there's more dialogue, there's more collaboration, and yet we're not seeing it here. And that's what caused this basically public altercation between the priests, some of the priests, a good number of the priests of the Archdiocese and Archbishop Lucy, and that made big headlines. And they asked for him to resign. We thought the seminary was going to be closed. We thought all of us were going to get kicked out. We lost a lot of seminarians because they were just, I guess, discouraged by what the church had said in Vatican Council and what they saw in reality. And so we lost a lot of seminarians at the time that I think could have been really good priests.
The events marked one of the most challenging chapters in the history of the Archdiocese of San Antonio. Bishop Emeritus Gerald Barnes shares a memory of his from the 1980s in which a reconciliation of sorts took place.
I was the director of the continuing education of priests, and they came to see me. We're having a convocation, and they wanted to know, could they go to the convocation? Well, what do you do? I mean, I'm not the bishop, so I went and spoke with Archbishop Flores, and he said, yeah, 4 of them could come. But they came to the convocation, and they apologized. They said, if there's anything we have done because of the choices we made, and that has hurt you and has hurt the church, we ask for your forgiveness. It was not our intention. We still consider ourselves Catholics and even priests. It was very emotional, just very emotional. Then the Archbishop, he got on his knees and he asked them for forgiveness for any way he or his predecessors had hurt them and their families. It's a big thing.
But that key moment where the priests confronted Archbishop Lucy was very important. I think it was important for me as a priest to understand that and to be able to feel that this was the way in which we were trying to live out the council. Not by being disobedient, but by really asking for justice and asking for the collaboration that the council was all about. Opening the windows, opening the doors, get some fresh air. Let's do things a little bit differently, but still faithful to the mission of the church.
Yet even amid the turmoil, Archbishop Lucy's legacy remained undeniable. He had transformed Catholic life across South Texas. He had built churches and schools. He had defended workers, welcomed immigrants, expanded charitable ministries, and helped shape the modern identity of the local church. In 1969, after 28 years as Archbishop, Robert Emmett Lucy retired. Archbishop Francis Fury arrived at a time when the Catholic Church was continuing to adapt to the changes brought on by the Second Vatican Council. The Church was being called to listen more closely to the experiences of its people. In San Antonio, that meant recognizing the unique faith traditions and cultural heritage of generations of Mexican-American Catholics whose families had been a part of the Church in South Texas for centuries.
Archbishop Fury was very much in terms of Catholic social justice. He was the one that encouraged the formation of COPS, which is now COPS Metro. And he sent a bunch of us young priests into the West Side. It was kind of like to take over 5 or 6 parishes. At that time, it was kind of unheard of. and we were all with the same program. We were all believed in the Catholic social teaching. We all wanted to help the people, and basically that really renovated a lot of the interior of the west side of San Antonio, the inner city.
Archbishop Fury focused on strengthening parish life, expanding ministries, and creating new opportunities for leadership among Hispanic Catholics. During his years as Archbishop, the church in San Antonio became a national example of how faith and culture could come together. Under Archbishop Lucy, the church had advocated for workers, migrants, and the poor. That tradition continued as the farm worker movement gained national attention in the 1960s and 70s. San Antonio became an important gathering place for Catholic leaders, organizers, clergy, and lay people who supported the cause of farm workers. The involvement reflected a long-standing Catholic belief that defending human dignity was not simply a political issue, it was a moral responsibility. As the Hispanic Catholic population continued to grow, priests throughout the Southwest recognized the need for stronger representation and collaboration. In 1969, San Antonio became the birthplace of a historic movement within the Catholic Church. Here, priests gathered to establish Padres, the first national organization of Mexican-American Catholic priests in the United States.
And so Padres was part of that. Padres was an organization that came together because they wanted, I was there actually the day that they put it together. Archbishop Flores was a priest at the time. They had a group of Hispanic priests from around the country, maybe 10 or 12 of them, got together there for a meeting in which they declared, we're going to organize an organization of Hispanic priests who were born and raised in this country and whose voice has not been heard, and we will be heard. And so I remember I was not a priest yet, but I had been employed by Father Elizondo to help him in the religious education office. So I was there that day because to me it was a real historical moment where the Catholic Hispanic clergy was coming together to have their voice. Their first issue was, why do we not have any Hispanic bishops in this country? And that was a major issue because a big portion of the Catholic population in the United States were Hispanic.
The movement toward greater Hispanic leadership continued. In 1972, with the support of Archbishop Francis Fury, the Mexican-American Cultural Center, known now as the Mexican-American Catholic College, was established in San Antonio. The creation of MAC was a landmark moment. It became one of the first institutions in the United States dedicated specifically to preparing church leaders for ministry among Hispanic Catholics. In 1970, history was made as Patricio Flores became the first Mexican-American bishop in the United States. His rise to leadership of the Archdiocese represented a significant moment for Hispanic Catholics across the country. For many, it was a recognition that the culture, traditions, and faith of Hispanic Catholics were not on the margins of the church, they were central to its future. Archbishop Flores became a national voice for Hispanic ministry, Catholic education, immigrant communities, evangelization, and the dignity of human life.
And Fury was key to that. Archbishop Fury was key to that. He insisted to the nuncio as well as to Rome, I want this particular person to be my auxiliary. And he didn't take no for an answer.
The story of San Antonio's growing influence reached a historic moment in 1987. On September 13th of that year, Pope St. John Paul II visited San Antonio during his pastoral visit to the United States. Hundreds of thousands of faithful gathered to welcome the Holy Father.
And there was a lot of discussion at that time where if the Pope was going to come to Texas, where should he come? And Archbishop Flores was really good about that because he was the Archbishop at the time. And he was telling the other bishops, look, it doesn't have to be San Antonio if we all agreed somewhere else is better. But they all said, no, it's got to be San Antonio. It's got to be San Antonio because it's the Archdiocese and because it's kind of like the historical seat of Catholicism.
The visit was a celebration of faith, family, and the growing importance of Hispanic Catholics in the American Church. The world was seeing what Catholics in South Texas had known for generations. This was a community of deep faith, rich traditions, and a vital role in the future of the church.
At any rate, in Detroit, they had all of the organizers, the main organizers of each one of the cities, meet in Detroit to tell him goodbye and etc. And apparently the Pope went down the line with each one of them. And when he got to Monsignor Steuben and Sister Charlene and Robert, he said, "Oh, San Antonio," and it really, you could tell that he remembered it and that he was very happy with it, and had made a big impression on him. So whether ours was a favorite, I don't know.
And as the 20th century continued, that mission would reach even more people through a new form of evangelization. The message of the gospel was about to enter homes across South Texas through the power of television. Throughout its history, the Catholic Church has embraced new forms of communication to share the message of Christ. In the late 20th century, the Archdiocese of San Antonio became a pioneer in Catholic media with the creation of Catholic Television of San Antonio. The station became one of the first diocesan-owned, full-time Catholic television ministries in the United States. Its mission was simple: bring the life of the Church into the homes of the faithful. Through daily Mass, local news coverage, interviews, special events, and coverage of major moments in the life of the Archdiocese, Catholic Television of San Antonio expanded the Church's evangelizing mission beyond parish walls. The year 2000 brought one of the most dramatic moments in the modern history of the Archdiocese. On June 23, 2000, a man entered the chancery offices of the Archdiocese of San Antonio and held Archbishop Patrick Flores and his secretary hostage. For nearly 9 hours, the situation unfolded as law enforcement and negotiators worked to bring the standoff to a peaceful conclusion. Those who witnessed the event described his actions as reflecting the same qualities that had defined his ministry for decades: faith, compassion, and a concern for others. The situation ended peacefully, and Archbishop Flores was released unharmed. The historic San Fernando Cathedral underwent a major restoration that was completed in 2003, helping to preserve one of San Antonio's most important landmarks and the historic heart of the city. The extensive project was made possible through a major fundraising effort led by Father David Garcia, who helped rally parishioners, donors, civic leaders, and the broader San Antonio community to restore the cathedral's historic beauty while preparing it to serve future generations. The restoration renewed the cathedral's interior and exterior and reaffirmed its place as a spiritual and cultural centerpiece of San Antonio. In 2005, Archbishop Patrick Flores retired after more than 2 decades leading the Archdiocese of San Antonio. His successor was Archbishop Jose Gomez. Archbishop Gomez continued the Archdiocese's long tradition of Hispanic ministry and evangelization. During his time in San Antonio, he focused on strengthening Catholic identity, encouraging vocations, and serving the diverse communities of South Texas. The La Misiones restoration effort led by Father David Garcia with the support of the San Antonio community brought together parishioners, donors, civic leaders, businesses, and preservation advocates to protect and restore the city's historic Spanish colonial missions. Through a major fundraising campaign launched in 2008, the community ultimately raised $15.5 million, providing essential funding for restoration and preservation work at Mission San Jose, Mission Concepcion, Mission San Juan, and Mission Espada. In 2010, Pope Benedict XVI appointed Auxiliary Bishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra of the Archdiocese of Chicago as the 6th Archbishop of San Antonio. Born in Mexico and a member of the Missionaries of the Holy Spirit, Archbishop Gustavo brought a deep commitment to evangelization, religious vocations, and service to those most in need. His leadership has emphasized strengthening families, encouraging young Catholics, supporting immigrants, and promoting vocations. The beginning of the 21st century also brought difficult challenges for the Catholic Church throughout the United States. Like dioceses across the country, the Archdiocese of San Antonio confronted the clergy's sexual abuse crisis. The Church responded by strengthening policies for child protection, creating safe environment programs, increasing transparency, and providing assistance to survivors.
But then as it got bigger, as more people came forward and made accusations, it was very painful for all of us who were priests to see that. It didn't really, but most people could see the human things that were going on in this and tried to be sympathetic and just tried to go on and live their faith the best way they could. Nobody was going to steal their faith from them. Nobody was going to have them leave the church because of this. They still wanted to live their faith, and I think that was the beautiful thing that I saw.
A decade into his role as Archbishop, the Church faced one of the greatest challenges in modern times, the COVID-19 pandemic. Parishes adapted to new ways of worship and ministry. Catholic television and digital communication became even more important as the Church found new ways to remain connected with the faithful. In 2024, the Archdiocese of San Antonio celebrated the 150th anniversary of its founding as the Diocese of San Antonio in 1874. Throughout the year, parishes, schools, ministries, Catholic organizations across South and Central Texas joined in commemorating a century and a half of faith and service. The anniversary provided an opportunity to reflect on the generations of bishops, priests, religious, and lay faithful who helped build the local church, while also celebrating its continuing mission to proclaim the gospel and serve communities throughout the region. The year-long celebration culminated in special liturgies and events honoring the Archdiocese's rich history and looking towards its future.
Viva Cristo Rey!
For 100 years as an archdiocese, San Antonio has witnessed moments of extraordinary joy and difficult challenges. It has welcomed immigrants. It has defended workers. It has built schools and churches. It has formed priests and lay leaders. It has celebrated historic firsts. And it has continued proclaiming the gospel through generations of change. From the first missionaries who planted the faith along the San Antonio River, to the hundreds of thousands of Catholics who call South Texas home today, the story of the Archdiocese of San Antonio is a story of perseverance, service, and hope. 100 years after Pope Pius XI recognized San Antonio as an archdiocese, the mission remains the same: to proclaim Jesus Christ, to serve God's people, and to carry the faith forward for generations to come.